All right, let's get started with shave number 551 with the Nacet. And soap and all the scent parts of the shave will be Chiseled Face Midnight Stag. This is the older tub style from maybe several years ago. It doesn't have very much left in it. If you've been watching, you know that because I've been using it all month. The brush is the B13 Dogwood Handcrafts and Briar Brushworks, and Stephen Joyner put it together as a hybrid handle. And timeless open comb stainless steel razor with a 68 gap. Brush has been soaking for several minutes, and I discovered something recently because brushes like this that have treated tips, usually these are finest badger brushes. It happens less with 3-band silver tip type brushes, but these finest badger brushes have been treated with a chemical agent, kind of like bleach, to soften the tips because they come quite firm often. And that's fine, but depending on the level, how long you leave the agent on there, that controls whether it's a more firm natural feel, whether it's super jelly or somewhere in between. These very soft, not too jelly. I really like these tips. And anywhere in that spectrum almost, you'll find that as the brush dries, the tips will kind of clump together. Even if you're like me, you give it a good sling out in the sink and you take it over to the towel and you strop it around for a while, you spread it with your fingers, and several hours later, you're still getting some clumping and the tips will be kind of crispy and firm. And I'll bet, I'm just guessing here, but I'll bet sometimes it might not be in the brush's best interest for you to just disrupt all those tips that have been kind of stuck together. You could potentially break a tip off. I would assume you could, right? Because they've been weakened by that bleaching process. So maybe it's not worth doing that, even though I have often done that and I've just been gentle with it to kind of free it up. Because, for instance, to get it into my soaking mug, look, I've got to shrink down the knot. And what I usually do is I'll grab it with my hand like that, and now I can kind of push it in. Okay? But if the knot is really too big, then you're kind of crunching those tips. What I've started doing the last few days, and I'm going to tell you about it because I think it's a good policy. I'll take the brush, and let's say my stream of water from my faucet is coming down. I'll just make sure I get the tips wet. Just kind of get all the tips, and you don't have to worry about the shafts quite as much. And they'll soften right up. They kind of instantly release each other, and now they're easily able to be squished and put into a smaller container or whatever you need to do. So just wanted to mention that. I think I'm going to keep doing that. That seems to be pretty safe for the tips. Here is the Nacet blade with all the identifying marks that you've heard me talk about, I'm sure. I keep my hand that I'm holding everything in flat. And that way, even if the head gets turned or anything like that, I don't get cut. Ready to go. Get my face wet now. I was thinking of what kind of lather to put together today for you guys. I've been doing bowl lathers most of the month, but I'm a little short on time. I could do a slurry lather. I know that works really well with this base, but let's just kind of do a quick bowl lather. It's not really a slurry per se. I'm going to shake a lot of the water out. 1, 2, 15 swirls. Let's see if that's enough soap. I think I did 30 yesterday, but that was with a brush that was really squeezed out, you know, damp only. And it was twice as much soap as I needed. So let's just see what happens with this. I mean, you can barely see the soap around the edges. Ah, and look, there it is. Immediately starts foaming up. Because there's not a whole lot of water here, you kind of instantly get that bubbly, light, airy stuff. If I do keep working it, it'll start to combine. Or I could go ahead and start adding some water. But if you are using a base that you haven't really played with before, then I would recommend spending some time like I'm doing right now and just working on it, because since you got some water in your brush, that may be all you need. And look at that, almost no soap visible on the brush, and this is how much lather we have. Okay, now I'm going to start trickling in, maybe a teaspoon at a time, or a little bit less than that at a time. I was wondering if 15 swirls was going to be enough. Added some more water. I'm not even going to get it mature. As you can see, there it is. I just added some water. I could probably mix it up and make it even better, but let's just shave with it as is. And if I need to maybe add some water to the mix, or to my face, or to the brush, I'll just do that. Hurricane Debbie is on its way up to North Carolina in the next couple of days. And so today was actually a pleasant day inside, with sun not beating down on the house quite as much as usual here in the summer. Little on the dry side. You see that texture? Look at that. When I have shown you past lathers where it was really wet, you don't see anything like that kind of texture, with all the bumps and humps and, you know, odd, grotesque configurations. That's a sign that if you want to put more water into a lather, it will definitely take more. And I pretty much always want to do that unless I'm short on time. And you know what that means? That means that all the lather you see right now, it could be multiplied by me adding water. And so that 15 seconds was definitely plenty of loading. Plenty. 15 swirls. Now in a lot of my videos, I'll write down the data on the time of the load, and if it's in a decimal, then that usually means I did some math, and I actually counted my swirls, and then I divided by 3, because I think on average I do about 3 swirls per second, and because my the database I put my shave information in is the field is not number of swirls, it's seconds of loading, and so I kind of had to do a basic conversion there, just to get an approximation. All right, so shave number 551 with the Gillette Nacet. You know, before I started using the Nacet, it kind of had a reputation, like a feather, of being a little kind of temperamental, not lasting a long time. Isn't that funny? That's called irony. And I didn't know that. And I went over to the Badger and Blade, and there's an Excalibur forum thread there that talks about how people have made their blades last a long time. Some people strop them, different things like that. Okay, that's a good first pass. A quick water splash. And when I posted, I think my first post there was after I had used it for 60 shaves or something like that. And people would remark about how they didn't think Nacets would go that far. They just thought they would die a lot sooner. You know what? A friend and I went back and looked at the data that our little wet shaving Reddit had on the hardware, because we looked at SOTD reports, and a program did, and we were able to access that database, and we saw that Nacet use increased dramatically when I started my marathon run on this Nacet. And but you know, the tragic thing is that we're not able to know whether, you know, was it me and my Nacet use that made people give it a try? Or was I trying it because somehow there was, you know, already some kind of Nacet trend going on? And that's okay. I don't really need to be credited with anything. I thought that was interesting. If you want some variety, one thing you can do is switch hands. Shave with your other hand, but go slower. Think about your angles, almost like day one when you first started with your dominant hand shaving. And it make you think about, you know, how you're holding the razor, your angles. It can be fun. Something different. And that's also handy if you ever were to injure your dominant hand. Splash of water now. And I can feel my stubble reducing. I can leave a lot of standing water on my face during a rinse just to help out the next pass of lather. As you can see, I've just got lots of lather available to me here. I can just waste a bunch of it if I want. Now, if we feel the texture of it, it's very light. It doesn't give very much resistance at all. If I move it around in my fingers and it moves out of the way and I'm left with whatever residual feeling there is a light sense of slickness that does remain. I have had a few shave soaps that only water remained, only the sensation of water would remain on my fingers once I wiped the lather away. And so this soap formulation is better than that, because it does leave behind some kind of residual slickness on my fingertips, and that's good. But it just doesn't have a luxurious, kind of lightly creamy nature to it when it's well hydrated, at least in the mature lather form. You've got to stick it to a slurry lather to make that happen. Third pass, I guess. And my cheeks feel super comfy, like I'm just not cutting too many hairs, you know, like they've all been trimmed. But I know that there is still some light stubble there, kind of some low grade, so I can do these types of slant movements. You know, there's this move with the razor called a J-hook. I first heard about it by Geo Fatboy, a veteran shaver, but he started selling so many products on his stuff. I kind of felt pushed on, you know, when I was watching his videos, and so I kind of quit. And he was talking about this J-hook maneuver where if you're especially in the neck trouble spots, you kind of, you know, give a little curve like that. And in a way, it's kind of incorporating a slicing motion, and that's probably why it can be effective. But it definitely takes practice to get it done right, because what you don't want to do is turn it so quickly that you end up moving side to side during a portion of the J-hook, because that's obviously going to almost certainly give you a cut. But if you've got some trouble spots, I recommend giving that a shot. And right now, I do have some nice residual slickness. I can kind of move the razor around on my skin anywhere I want to. Splash of water now. Yep, and my hands keep feeling that stubble just disappearing. "15 swirls, and I've still got 5 passes of lather in the bowl. So maybe 10 swirls tomorrow if I can remember. I didn't really need to shave my cheeks. Why am I doing that? Let's do those slanted strokes again. Just kind of habit, I guess. Muscle memory. And up-down strokes like this on this part of my neck, pretty much cross grain. But then once I hit this spot here, it starts to be against the grain. And that's when I usually switch to come at it from the other side. Sticking, and then right here, this stroke here, because this is a concave surface on my neck, if I do this, then the corners can touch more with more pressure than the middle part of the blade. And so to solve that problem, I'll give it just a slight turn that way, and then a diagonal type stroke, and it gets in the crook of the curve pretty well. I was just reading one of you guys out there, Fred Hug, just reached out and bought from Yaki on AliExpress this razor, the Final Cut. And I'm really happy with it. He said he even got it on sale for $23. I think that's a great deal for what you get. It's not a stainless steel razor, so, you know, if you leave water in it at some point, even if you don't, in some years, it's going to fall apart. But I'll bet if you take decent care of it, you don't let water stand in the mechanism if possible, then I'll bet it might give you 5 years of use, maybe even more, you know, and for that amount of money. It's patterned after the Gibbs number 15, I think it is. And a very, very good adjustable razor at such a low price. In terms of low price adjustable razors, I think it's really quite good. Did I finish everything? Sure did. Now let's test. Oh yeah, happy with that. Yep, no irritation. Let's get a good rinse now. So that 15 swirls gave me 5 passes of lather, and you saw goop on my face. And so they were generous passes where there was plenty just flopping onto the sink, and I still have a good bit here left in the bowl. Not as much as I've had in the past, but I could probably do 4 nice passes out of what is left here. See how that dollop is maintaining its shape? It's moving a little bit, but I could definitely add more water to it if I wanted. So, reasonable lather, not as luxurious as some, but very reasonable. And their prices, I think Chiseled prices are pretty good. I don't think it's quite a good value with sterling, but I think they're really reasonably priced, and so that's nice. Dropped it on the towel now after a good rinsing. And so this is that big bloom at the end of the shave that I was talking about earlier. And I'll just set this aside. There's no reason to buy a brush hanging device, the brush stand, the kind that have 2 little hooks and do like that. Because if you shake it out, if you give it a good shake to where there's no droplets in there, then there's nothing for gravity to act on anymore. And so it's not going to dry any faster this way versus on its back, like this, on its end. And also if it's metal, then those little racky things, the stands, will start to put marring marks on your handle. So it's another reason not to use them. But you could use it if you wanted to, but just know that it's not really helping you do anything. But if it looks nice, or you just like the way the brush looks when it's hanging there, then go for it. But this is what I was talking about with, even now, kind of looks separated. These will get crispy and join together a little bit and clump just a tiny bit. And so tomorrow, these will be firm feeling, even though right now it feels like a soft, plush animal fur, But tomorrow they'll be all crispy, and that's where I would just pour water on it to kind of break everything apart in a very gentle way. Keep those tips as healthy as I can. And now we can move on to the Chiseled Face Splash. It has other helpful ingredients. The alcohol is obviously the main one. It's got witch hazel, aloe vera juice, calendula, menthol, vitamin B5 Pro, astaxanthin. I don't know what that ingredient does. A common question is, what will expire first? And when I say expire, I mean to say, if you use a soap and a splash always together, will they stay the same in terms of their usage, and will they both go empty at the same time? And the answer is, it depends. It varies per user. I know some people that the splash will run out before the soap, and then some other ones the other way around. And so the answer, there is no real answer. It just depends on how you want to use each one. I have a feeling that for me, the splash is going to run out a lot sooner, because with a tub of sterling, this is their 3-ounce tub, because this was a temporary or small run. But they have a 6-ounce tub, where they put 5.8 ounces. That particular size of container, I did some math after doing a bunch of usage testing and weighing it and that kind of thing, and it would give me over a year of uses. And I don't think I could get 300 uses out of a splash. So for me, I would almost certainly run out of splash before I ran out of soap, especially a good soap like Sterling or Chiseled Face. I use probably very little of that as well. It's possible with Chiseled Face Silk Tallow or maybe a Holy Cow. Those I have to have more of. That might be more competitive in terms of keeping it parallel with a splash. And here we are starting the next row of dots. This is use number 551. How about that? That's crazy. Did not know it was going to last that long when I started. All right. The last thing to do is enjoy the wonderful cologne, the EDP. You'll see EDP and EDC used, eau de parfum, eau de cologne, and there is technically a slight difference between the two. One of them has a slightly higher percentage of the real part of the fragrance versus alcohol, that sort of thing. And so that's the difference between them, is the concentration. I don't know which one's which, but that's a simple Google search if you're curious. Some people just call it a frag for fragrance. Some people call it, I tend to like to call it a cologne, because calling it a frag to people outside our hobby is kind of strange. Oh, smells great. Earlier today, I put a splash of Chatillon Luxe Grey Show League Square, and I enjoyed it while I was out hanging out with my friends, and that was very nice. All right, folks, that is it for today's shave. 26 minutes, and I took my time and talked about things, so that was a 5-pass shave, and it really didn't take too long. If I were to be a normal person and take out all the commentary time and all that, that would be a pretty quick shave. So I think going to 5 passes is tolerable as long as they are reasonably fast, like today's. So we'll just keep going with the Nacet. Don't know when it'll stop. We'll see. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Have a good night. Take care. If you're in the path on the east coast of Hurricane Debbie, have your stuff prepared. Be prepared for a power outage. Go buy some candles. There's these great candles at the Dollar Tree that have these, they're in glass, and many of them are geared more toward Catholics, where it has the picture of a saint or something on it. But they also have selections that are just plain glass, and they're safe because it's a glass long thing, and it's filled with a candle, and so you don't have to worry about the flame blowing out, or it's its own container. So, and they burn for hours, and so that can really be of help in a power outage situation, because you don't need to try to find a candle stand for them, and they last a nice long time. So get some, get your stuff ready for a power outage, some emergency water supply, something like that, just in case. I don't want anybody to be stranded. Pay attention to the weather reports about flooding and all that stuff. Hopefully it'll just be really windy and rainy, and we'll all be all right. Take care now. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Have a good night.